It started with a knock on the door. It was well past midnight, and I wasn't expecting anyone. Living alone, I knew better than to open up for random visitors, especially in this part of the city. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the cops if I needed to, and tiptoed to the peephole. Outside, the hallway light flickered, bathing the figure in an eerie, strobing light. A cop. At least that's what he looked like, uniform and badge standing rigid. "Ma'am, I'm with the local PD," he called out. His voice was calm but firm, the type you'd hear in a training video. "There's been an incident in your building. I need to ask you a few questions." I didn't buy it. Something felt off. His uniform was too pristine, his face too blank. But then again, what if he was a real cop? Ignoring him could land me in trouble. "Can I see your badge?" I asked through the door, heart pounding. He held it up, but the flickering light made it impossible to read. I decided to stall. "What's this about?" "There's been a break-in on the 5th floor. We're making sure everyone's accounted for." I lived on the 3rd floor. If there was an incident on the 5th, why come to me? My gut screamed to keep that door locked, but something else, a morbid curiosity maybe, compelled me to keep listening. "That's strange," I said. "I didn't hear anything." There was silence on the other side. Too much silence. Then, a soft scraping sound, like metal dragging along wood. My breath hitched as I realized he wasn't standing at the peephole anymore. "Open the door, ma'am." His tone had changed, the calmness gone, replaced by something colder. I backed away, clutching my phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. The line connected, but before I could speak, a voice, not the operator's, echoed through my phone. "Open the door, ma'am." I froze. It was the same voice, the exact same voice. I hung up and called again. Same thing. "Open the door, ma'am." My blood ran cold. I started to backpedal toward the kitchen, heart hammering in my chest. That's when the banging started, loud, violent, shaking the entire doorframe. I screamed and ran, grabbing the largest knife I could find. The banging stopped. For a moment, the silence was suffocating. I crept back toward the living room, knife in hand, and peeked around the corner. The door was still closed, but the chain lock was dangling loosely, the screws barely holding it in place. And then I heard it, my own voice. "Hello? Who's there?" The voice wasn't coming from me. It was coming from the other side of the door. The voice on the other side of the door was mimicking me perfectly, down to the smallest inflection, but the cadence was just slightly off, like an echo with a sinister delay. "Hello? Who's there?" It repeated again and again. My blood turned to ice as I backed further into the apartment. I clutched the knife so hard my knuckles turned white. Whatever this was, it wasn't a cop. It wasn't even *human. "Ma'am." The voice outside switched back to its authoritative tone. The fake cop's voice. "You're in danger. Open the door so I can help you." My mouth was dry, my throat tight. Every instinct told me to stay as far from that door as possible. But then the thing started rattling the handle violently. It wasn't just trying to scare me. It wanted in. I grabbed my phone again, desperate to call someone, anyone. But when I unlocked it, the screen was frozen. The emergency call app flickered erratically, displaying static for a moment before switching to my face. It was a live feed, from my peephole. The thing was staring into the camera, its head tilted unnaturally, lips curling into an exaggerated smile that didn't match its cold, empty eyes. Then it spoke again, my voice eerily distorted. "Let me in." I dropped the phone and bolted into the bathroom, slamming the door behind me. I locked it and crouched in the bathtub, knife shaking in my grip. My ears strained for any sound, but everything had gone dead silent again. That kind of silence where you know something is watching. I don't know how long I stayed there, but then I heard it, a creak, coming from inside the apartment. It had gotten in. I clenched the knife tighter, my breath shallow. There was no mistaking the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, like it was taking its time. It wanted me to know it was there. "Ma'am," the thing said, voice dripping with mockery. "Why are you hiding? I thought you wanted help." It laughed, a guttural, inhuman sound that made my skin crawl. My grip on the knife tightened, and I pressed my back against the cold tiles, praying it wouldn't find me. And then the bathroom doorknob turned. Slowly. The lock held, but I could hear the wood splintering as it pressed harder against the frame. Whatever it was, it didn't need to hurry. It knew I had nowhere to go. My eyes darted around the small bathroom, searching for anything that could help me. And then I remembered the vent. It was old and loose, barely big enough to squeeze through, but it was my only shot. I scrambled out of the tub, dragging the vent cover off with shaking hands, and started pulling myself inside. The metal edges scraped my skin, but I didn't care. I had to get out. Behind me, the door finally gave way. I didn't dare look back. All I could hear was the heavy thud of footsteps approaching and that horrible, distorted laughter echoing off the bathroom tiles. It knew I was in the vent. I crawled faster, my body scraping against the narrow walls. The air was stifling, every breath feeling like it could be my last. Behind me, the sound of metal buckling sent a wave of terror through me. It was trying to follow. Then the laughter stopped, and for a moment, there was only silence. But it was worse than the noise because now I couldn't tell where it was. My mind raced as I tried to recall the layout of the building, praying the vent would lead to another apartment or an exit. Just as I thought I was far enough to be safe, I heard it again. The voice. This time, it wasn't behind me. It was ahead. "Come on, you're almost there," it crooned, using my voice again. "Don't stop now." A pair of pale, gnarled hands reached out from the darkness of the vent, grabbing my ankle. The hands were ice cold, their grip like iron. I screamed and kicked wildly, the knife slipping from my grip as I tried to break free. The thing was strong, inhumanly strong, and it was dragging me back into the darkness of the vent. "Don't fight," it hissed, now using a voice that was a warped blend of mine and the fake cop's. "You've made it this far. Don't you want to see what's waiting?" I thrashed harder, scraping my elbows and knees against the sharp metal as I clawed at the walls. My heel connected with something solid, and the grip on my ankle loosened for a split second. It was all I needed. I lunged forward, desperate, adrenaline pumping through my veins. Ahead, a faint glow of light flickered, a way out. The vent shook violently as the thing pursued me, its guttural laughter reverberating through the narrow space. I could feel its presence closing in, the metal warping under its weight. My lungs burned, my muscles screamed, but I pushed forward, inch by inch, until finally, I reached the grate. I slammed into it with all my strength, the screws giving way. I tumbled out, landing hard on a tile floor. I barely had time to register where I was, a utility room, judging by the industrial shelves and cleaning supplies, before the vent behind me buckled outward. I scrambled to my feet, grabbing a rusty mop handle from the corner. The grate exploded off the wall, and the thing emerged, unfolding itself with unnatural, jerky movements. Its body was wrong, too long, too thin, its limbs bending in ways they shouldn't. Its face was my face, but stretched and distorted, the smile impossibly wide, showing rows of needle-like teeth. It advanced slowly, savoring my terror. "Why run?" it said, its voice a cacophony of every voice it had mimicked. "You invited me in." I gripped the mop handle like a spear, backing away as it closed the distance. My mind raced for options. Fight? Hide? None seemed promising. Then I noticed it, the fire alarm on the wall, just behind the creature. I darted sideways, feinting as though I was going to charge. The thing lunged toward me, its claws swiping through the air, but I ducked under its reach and slammed my fist into the fire alarm. The room was instantly filled with a deafening wail as the sprinklers activated, spraying icy water from the ceiling. The creature screamed, a high-pitched, inhuman sound that rattled my skull, and recoiled as the water hit it. Its skin sizzled, steaming as if it were being burned. I didn't wait to see what would happen next. I bolted for the door, slipping and sliding on the wet floor, and burst into the hallway. The alarm had triggered the building's emergency lights, bathing the corridor in a stuttering red glow. I ran, my shoes squelching against the waterlogged floor, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Behind me, the thing screeched again, a sound of pure rage. The exit sign loomed ahead, and I threw myself at the door, bursting out into the freezing night air. I didn't stop running until I was halfway down the block. Only then did I dare to look back. The building stood silent, the fire alarm still wailing faintly in the distance. The street was empty, eerily still, as if the world had been holding its breath. I never went back to that apartment. Whatever that thing was, it had worn my face, stolen my voice, and nearly stolen my life. I left everything behind, crashing on a friend's couch until I could find a new place, far from that cursed building. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, I swear I hear its soft laughter, echoing faintly from somewhere in the dark. And I wonder if it's still out there, waiting, looking for someone new to invite it in.